Welcome to Podcast for Success, the show that helps you launch, grow, and scale a podcast that actually works. If you've ever thought, I want to start a podcast and have no idea where to begin, or if you've launched one and you now feel stuck in overwhelm, you're in the right place. My name is Stacy Maynard, podcast producer that has learned a few lessons along the way, some of them not so good. Let me tell you the truth. My first podcast, it didn't go so well. And I want to tell you exactly what I did wrong. Welcome to Podcast for Success, produced by City Media Group, where creativity meets strategy and smart shows are built with smarter tools. Whether you're navigating the best systems, diving into the latest AI tools, or want to know behind the scenes moves that takes your show from idea to air, you're in the right place. I'm your host, Stacy Maynard, and each time we talk about branding to batching to setup and scale, welcome to your shortcut to creating a podcast that works. This is how you can podcast for success. Let's hit record. So when I tell you that my first podcast was a failure, I'm serious. It failed in a lot of ways. And I know as a podcast producer, a lot of people come to me and they say, so you failed? Like, why did you continue to be a producer? Well, I learned a lot. And in my opinion, failure teaches you more than success. And although the show is called Podcast for Success, it's based on the fact that I learned the hard way and that I want to share with you so that you don't do the same mistakes that I did. So this is what happened. I had a business associate contact me and said, hey, let's start a podcast together. And as you know, I'm always interested in tech, always interested in new things, and always want to collaborate with people who I really enjoy working with. So my immediate answer was yes. So I learned all the tech, I learned all the back end, did all the things and had it all set up, and it was great. But when you're working with somebody else, you also need to understand how they do things. And sometimes getting started is easy, but it's the continuation that becomes the hard part. So we had a great idea, we had a great concept, but we got stuck in the fact that we needed to record together. So when we first started out, we were all gung-ho and we were going to meet on a regular basis and sort of start recording, week after week. And we were going to have a podcast that released an episode every week. And although that sounded great in theory, life gets in the way, business gets in the way because we each had our own separate businesses. So then we started thinking, well, hang on a second, maybe we can meet monthly. And then we can sort of batch record. So we learned sort of what that looked like, what batching looked like. And we continued to kind of do that for a couple of months. So then, of course, we would have the 4 episodes that we would batch record. Then life got in the way, business got in the way, clients, pulled us in different directions. And we said, okay, well, maybe what we can do is record monthly, but then batch record and then release an episode every 2 weeks. So that would elongate the time that we would have to get together. And then the same thing happened. You can see a trend here, right? And then, of course, we would continue to do that. And then again, we would batch record and then we would go, well, let's release it monthly. So then we had, an episode go out, 4 or 5 times. And we didn't have to get together till once every, 4 or 5 months. Well, the problem with that is that it became a, hey, remember me? Hey, remember that podcast that we used to have? Hey, remember we could do it this way? And we ran into a few issues. So it became, remember that podcast that we started that we no longer record episodes for. So unfortunately, even though we started off with the best intentions, we had all of the technology that we needed to. We had our mics, we had our computers, we had all the back end tech set up, we had all the systems in place. What we didn't have is we didn't future think, right? We didn't think, well, what happens if? What are we going to do? What's the plan for the future? We just kind of went, oh, like maybe this could happen or maybe that could happen. So basically what was lacking, we lacked planning, we lacked strategy, we lacked intention, and we lacked dedication. Right? We allowed other things to pull us in different directions. And that's okay if, you still are able to come back. And what we needed to do, in my opinion, looking back, what did I learn from that? Well, number one, we didn't think that we would have the same chemistry if we did it remotely, right? And that's what we should have done because we did live a little bit of a distance apart and we were very focused on making sure that we could do that episode together. But we didn't need to. right? We could have done it virtually. There's lots of virtual studios. There's even more now, and I'll get into that later in other episodes. But we should have done it remotely. So therefore, we could have very easily bounced ideas off of each other. We could have easily batch recorded on a regular basis instead of having to physically get together. So we also, again, that dedication, right? When you're working with somebody else, we allowed other things to get in the way. We allowed, oh, well, now I have to do this. Oh, well, I can't get together that day. Oh, I can't do that. So again, that dedication was lacking. And again, the strategy around, well, we'll just, if you build it, they will come, is not a strategy. And that's the one that we embrace, where it's like, oh, okay, so we can just put an episode out and everything's good, right? No, it doesn't work like that. So we didn't really do the marketing piece. But basically what I learned the most was I learned what consistency and the importance of consistency. I learned that strategy is really important, and putting plans together and sticking to them are really important, which is why I'm a big planner. But with the technology that we have today, that was many years ago. But I wanted to tell you that story because, again, failure teaches you more than success. And I've made a lot of mistakes along the way. I've seen clients make a lot of mistakes. I've had a lot of podcasting clients in my day, and they did the same mistake. They were all gung-ho in the beginning, but I feel like what happened was that rush of, oh, I can't wait to do all the things, and they're really excited, and that fizzles out. And unfortunately, they didn't continue with it. So that was a big thing that I saw over the years. So now I understand more about how to regulate my clients, how to make sure that they keep the momentum going without losing sort of that fun, I guess, that they have right in the beginning, without losing that right away. So that is my first show is a big failure story. But in future episodes, we're going to be talking a lot about failure. We're going to talk a lot about success. I'm going to tell you the success stories. I have a lot of client stories to be able to share with you as well. But it has taught me, looking at my clients and looking at my failed podcast, it's taught me how to build better systems, right? Because that was the other piece that we didn't have, is systems. We didn't have the system in place to pivot. We didn't have the system in place to keep going. We didn't have the system in place to support how we were going to be doing things going forward. So I'm a big systems person as well. So if you have the right systems in place and you know what to do and how to do it, then the technology doesn't hold you back. The momentum keeps going. The consistency is there. And that leads you to have a podcast for success versus, remember that podcast we used to have? I don't think we no longer have it. So that is basically how failure can lead to success, because I was able to pass that along to a lot of my clients. And all of my clients that I had after that all launched into the top of the charts, all had very successful podcasts. Even though sometimes a lot of their momentum didn't keep going and things went in different directions, they were able to at least launch and have a successful show for as long as they wanted it for. So what are you going to be hearing about in this show? Well, we're going to talk about a lot of things. We're going to talk about how to come up with content that people actually want to listen to. That's a big one, right? We're going to talk about equipment. What equipment do you actually need? And what can you just skip over? There's a lot of things where you need these high-level equipment and need to spend millions of dollars on the best mic and the best headphones and the best this and the best that. No, a lot of it you can skip, and I'm going to tell you the real deal when it comes to that kind of stuff. And we're going to talk about AI tools. This is a big one, right? How to save time without losing quality. There's a lot of amazing things that you can use right now to save you so much time and keep you consistent and keep you motivated to keep your podcast successful. And then what does marketing look like? What does marketing look like for your show? How do you put it out there? And how are people going to find your show? And the most important one is, how do you stay consistent without becoming burnt out? And I'm going to tell you how one client really was able to keep their show going season after season, because after season 1, they were ready to quit. And we were able to deal with the burnout. We were able to deal with that overwhelm by taking small breaks. And I'm going to talk about that in future episodes as well. So whether you're recording from your spare room in your house, whether you're going to a podcast studio, maybe you're even doing it in your car or from your phone, this show is about how to make it work with the tools, the systems, and the mindset to keep you going, but to keep it simple and keep it successful and keep it professional. So These episodes are short, they're actionable, no fluff, right? We're going to talk about smart strategies for planning, smart strategies for recording, editing, promoting, post-production. I'm going to talk about behind the scenes tools of what I actually do to keep my show running effectively and efficiently, along with the actual tools that I use to help my clients as well. I'm going to give you tips on using AI so you can automate all the boring stuff. Okay, with podcasting, I admit there's some boring stuff in the back end as well, but we're going to use AI for that so that you can actually not have to worry about all that stuff. And again, I want you to have the mindset to grow your show, to show up, even on those messy days, so that you can keep going. So think of this as your behind the mic playbook, designed to turn your ideas into episodes and your voice that truly connects with your clients. So if this sounds good, hit that follow button, hit that subscribe button, and wait for the official first show that's dropping soon. We'll see you then. Thanks for tuning in to Podcast for Success. If you're ready to work smarter and grow your show, be sure to follow, rate, and leave a review. Want even more tips and tools? Visit podcastforsuccess.com, where we share more free resources, behind-the-scenes setup, bonus content, and the latest digital trends. Until next time, keep creating, keep recording, and keep showing up.